This is me excited about the Crow Salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch it last night or today?
I started it last night, and I probably got through 40 minutes, and then I finished the remaining hour today.
Pretty excited for the next one. Salvation's got like a 4.6 or something on IMDb, and then Wicked Prayer's got a 3. And that excites me a lot.
This is an interesting one. There's a lot of parallels to the first movie in more ways than one. That's why I said a lot. And it actually even includes a scene from the first movie.
What?
Yeah.
Like
old Eagle Eyes over here.
Like they redid the scene with good old Eric Mabius? Or...
No. You want me to just tell you right now?
Yeah.
So there is a scene in this movie where the lawyer tells him the address for the club.
Miles from Murphy Brown.
A lot of titties, right?
I was trying to remember if this is the had titties in it.
Oh, there's a lot of titties in here.
Isn't it just at that bar?
Yeah, but I mean, they're at that bar a couple of times.
And they're nice titties,
and there's
too.
Big titties, there's little titties.
Super fake titties, but they're rocking.
Mm-hmm. Titties that they suggest perhaps might also be underage.
Oh, what?
He goes, "How old are you?" to one of the girls dancing. And we're seeing her titties. So I'm like, God, I hope she's.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that's just the story. That's not what's really happening.
Obviously,
that'd be crazy. Okay,
no, she is not an underage actress, but in context of the movie,
I'm stupid again.
So in this movie, he becomes the Crow, effectively travels via the Crow. So there's a scene where the lawyer from whatever you just said,
Miles from Murphy Brown,
he tells him the address, and then it cuts to a POV shot of what I'm assuming is the bird flying down an alleyway. And it's intersplicing with pictures of the ladies dancing in the club he's approaching. However, right before the camera effectively reaches the end of the alleyway, we see a red car about to drive by and it cuts. Going back to watch the original Crow, when Skank is trying to catch up to T-Bird, he's driving down the alley and there's a short POV. And then we see T-Bird fly across the screen and he goes, "T-Bird, I got you, baby." It is literally that scene repurposed. And in fact...
you reckon that's an Easter egg?
There it is.
Oh, somebody else noticed too?
I did this.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah. It's just, it's color corrected differently.
Did you put it on YouTube?
No.
Oh, it looks like it's on YouTube.
Well, because I had to rent The Crow. I wasn't going to rent it again.
Why did you get it again? For this?
Well, no, I'm saying I had to originally rent The Crow when we watched it, but I'm not going to rent it again just to do this. But T-Bird's sequence is on YouTube. And I also wanted you to see that is The Crow, and that is the Crow 3. And then we're also treated to a quick shot of just some ancillary streets that I think is also from the first movie, but it might be from one of the miniature sets.
Okay. This movie's a trip, bro.
I'll tell you what I did do, though.
Oh, yes?
I added that to the IMDb trivia.
Oh.
It wasn't up there.
You like doing that.
Well, hey.
It wasn't there. I checked the trivia earlier. When did you put it up?
When I was doing my notes, probably just about 7:15.
Oh, man. Okay.
They'll have to review it and make sure there's no, racist or slurs or profanity.
Right.
And then they're like, we don't care if it's true or not.
Okay.
Just put it up. Boys engaging.
But they're not gonna watch the movies to figure it out.
Oh, God, no.
What an awful job that would be. Oh, man, I gotta watch this piece of shit.
Sounds awful.
I did put in the time code for its appearance in Salvation. I didn't for The Crow, but I figure, it's the T-Bird scene, everybody
knows.
I knew where to jump to even...
You knew where to get to because you're, slamming those bullets, doing shots and
firing
bullets.
It up, and banging away on Darla.
We are doing the Crow Salvation. Well, I'm Jason.
And I'm Jules.
And see for Mama no you. This is our gift to you.
Congratulations. Look under your seat. You get a Crow.
Oh, this movie is going to be real fun to talk about.
It's from 2000. Rated R.
Yes.
I actually liked the tagline for this. For vengeance, for justice, for love. It's good.
Yeah.
Right? This is the kind of movie that they should have made for the sequel, Crow City of Angels.
Yeah.
Because it very much follows the exact same beats of the first movie. or at least has a similar structure. But it's just different enough. Although it's quite similar to the first book also, more similar in some ways than the first movie. But it's just different enough that it works, you know? For me, at least. It's not great, but it is pretty good.
Wow. Okay.
You didn't like it?
It's pretty terrible, but it's better than City of Angels. Mm-hmm. Because, yes, it does not feel like a hollow retread. Mm-hmm. There's a story, but it's so cheap. The lead guy is pretty not good in this.
Well, he's terrible.
Pretty much every character in this is terrible. The crow itself, the bird, is wicked stupid.
You think dumber than any other bird we've seen?
It's like... Now the bird leads him to like case files instead of to the bad guys so he can kill them.
He's got to learn.
And now the bird's like in the jail with him, hopping down the hallways.
Yeah.
It's like, this bird's a little crazy now. They seem to be getting a little weirder with like how the bird works.
This is closer to the source material than any bird we've seen up to now.
Okay.
I would say. They aren't just crows that happen to be bringing some guy back. They're more, I don't know, mysterious and illusory. I will say this, his last name Corvus is Latin for crow, right? However, it's also modeled after Corvidae, the family of birds the crows belong to. Okay. This movie was originally set to be written, directed, and the music supervised by Rob Zombie.
Old Robert Zombie.
Old Robbie boy. However, he was fired for creative differences. They did use one of his songs, though.
Living Dead Girl.
Mm-hmm. Instead, the film was directed by Bharat Nalluri.
I, for some reason or another, watched the movie he made prior to this.
Okay.
Absolutely dreadful. Killing Time.
Yeah.
Also cheap and awful like this.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess I kind of glanced, but was he an Indian director before this or just happens to be from India?
I have no idea.
Because he did, I think, God, I want to say he was involved in 24 India, but maybe not. I know the writer was, which is why I kind of felt like maybe that's how this came together. I mean, they just got a guy.
Yeah.
Effectively. The movie's budget was an estimated $10 million.
So we're getting closer to the original budget for the first movie, right?
You know how much it grossed?
Oh, wait. It only opened on one screen in Spokane, Washington.
Yep. Leading fans to accuse Miramax of basically tanking it.
Yeah.
And Miramax's defense was the sequel tanked. We have no confidence in this. We're just going right to video.
Good choice.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I forget what the budget was for the sequel, but if they would have put some of that or that budget into this, because this movie suffers primarily from budget
and casting. Oh, I think the director is a poor choice.
Yes,
I think if they had gotten some money and hired a better director, and I think the cast maybe even could have worked with a better director.
Possibly.
I don't know, but that maybe seems to be trying his hardest.
He is, and thankfully they managed to hire a strong enough cast for most of the other players.
But it's also like weird. Campy isn't the word, but like,
you know, it feels like Candyman 3. You know, this was filmed entirely in Salt Lake City, so you're already without a strong background visually.
I mean, it's much better looking than fucking City of Angels, which was a nightmarescape.
This was clearly filmed primarily in like the warehouse district.
Yeah.
You know, but God bless them. They had enough money to get a real helicopter.
Sure.
Even if it was just for a quick flyby. I mean, good on them for that. But
wait, what? So what? How much money did it make?
It's not reported.
Okay. So we could probably guess like about $200.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's got a Blu-ray.
Really?
Yeah, there's a Blu-ray version out there.
I mean, there's a built-in fan base for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it does what it could extremely well, considering it's also bad.
Yeah.
I think the music, while not good, especially the original score.
There's something weird about the music, too, where I wasn't, like, recognizing any of it. It all sounded like those generic versions that you've talked about before, where it kind of sounds like the real song. But I looked at the credits, and it's like, those are the real songs.
Yeah. And it's a much better use of a soundtrack and a collection of songs that fit, I guess, whatever the movie is, more so than The Crow City of Angels. He's simultaneously a better, yet also weaker Crow than the second one.
Yeah, this is this whole thing is such a mindfuck because it's like, yes, much better than number 2, not good.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Watchable.
Yeah. Forgettable.
Constantly disappointing.
Very few moments where you rally.
Are there badass moments in this movie? Because even the kills, I'm like, I don't know. Other than that car crash,
that was cool,
stuck with me.
But watching it in hindsight, I remember loving it as a kid. But watching it now, it's like it's poorly framed, so you don't really get to see. I mean, I'm sure it seems like a live stunt. One of the guy moves right before it cuts.
Oh, there's an impaling in this. The impaling is good. The impaling I liked. Oh, this movie's so stupid.
Yeah, he's got a dumb line that I wish he would have said something else, and I wrote it down. But, yeah.
Crow's got your tongue. Is that what it is?
No, that'd be better, too. His burnt skin makeup, that was real bad.
You're talking about when he peels it off and it hits the floor?
Just when you're looking at him like in full light.
Yeah.
With his pancake weird Halloween Town makeup on,
Yeah.
But I like the fact that he peels it off and he's the crow underneath.
We gotta start going through the timeline because I'm just gonna keep remembering weird things that I want to talk about. Is there any more trivia you got for me?
No. Do you have a synopsis?
I do.
Excellent.
I do. I have a question about these synopses. They're very straightforward.
Yeah.
Was that due to time, or did you feel like you're getting a little out of control?
Well, yeah. I mean, they shouldn't necessarily be long-winded because we're going to get into most of it anyways.
Yeah.
And for the other movie, I was just having a fun.
Yeah. Just having a fun time.
Yeah.
The Crow, Salvation. The Crow is back, and this time it's personal. Framed for the murder of his girlfriend Lauren, Jody Lynn O'Keefe, Alex Corvus, Eric Mabius, is sentenced to death. When his execution goes haywire, Alex returns from the dead to find those responsible for Lauren's death to exact his revenge.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what the movie's about.
It is. Man.
So it starts. He's in jail.
Yep.
He's on death row.
Everybody's chanting outside. They're like, fuck this guy. Kill him.
He's playing chess with his lawyer.
Miles from Murphy Brown.
And the crotchety old guard comes in with a huge birthday cake.
He's real rude.
It's very passive-aggressive, it feels like. Because he's like, here's your cake, and he's not, like, being a jerk.
Isn't that cake rude somehow? Isn't there something
Maybe.
about the design on the cake? It's kind of a fuck you to him.
Possibly. I would have eaten
it's like a weird arm, because the scars on the arms.
Oh, is that what it was? I couldn't
teasing
make
him.
it out.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have eaten the cake.
I don't know if you'd have an appetite if you're about to die.
Well, you might.
In the fakest way possible, because they don't do it that way. But
they don't. God, if they did.
Oh, it's the man in the iron mask. You wear a metal mask when they electrocute you? I have never heard of that before.
Well, and you're in this huge concrete, like, octagon.
Right, so the electricity could bounce off the walls.
Equality, justice, I left the stove on. And so Kirsten Dunst is the sister of Corvus's girlfriend, who's dead. He's in jail for that.
They don't look at all alike.
No.
That girl's smoking hot. Jody Lynn O'Keefe?
Oh, God, yeah. What is she from?
I don't know.
Yeah. The dad is played by William Atherton, who's the jerk reporter from Die Hard.
And he's the shithead scientist in Biodome, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's all around crotchety shithead dipshit guy in most movies.
Oh.
And so they're in the galley, and it's weird because they're doing like interviews of people going to the murder, and there's an old lady, and she's like, "Oh, I go to these all the time," and she's all dressed up like the weird old lady reporter from Batman Forever.
This is like real weird 90s B-movie shit. Like every shot is a 90s B-movie, early 90s.
Yeah. I will say this. It does seem like they've created a world unto this movie. which I think they pulled off a lot better than City of Angels.
Yes.
Right? Because, like, then he's in the chamber and they put on this huge metal mask and they're like, we're going to electrocute him, but I guess just through the head?
Yeah, dude, what the fuck?
Because he's talking about when they electrocute you, your heart stops and then they stop and they make sure that you're dead. Otherwise, if it's still beating, they keep electrocuting you. But it's like, this shit's going through the dome, son.
Yeah.
And so they're like, any last words? And he goes, I loved whatever her name was, Lauren. I didn't kill her. And Kirsten Dunst is just disgusted.
Liar.
She's 18 around this time.
This is so weird because this is Bring It On comes out, I think, like 2 years from now as the Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. But it's after Virgin Suicide.
This is the same year as the Virgin Suicides.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
God, she must have just been working.
Yeah.
Right? And
this probably sounded okay at the time.
She probably signed up for this before Virgin Suicides. Thinking,
Yeah,
that'll just be a love project I do. And
she doesn't have like a lot of pieces of shit on her resume. Or like,
No.
I guess low budget. Like, this is like some late career Tom Sizemore fucking whoever is trying
This
to.
is
This is
some
Eric Roberts shit.
late career William Atherton shit. Them diehards dried up. And
Them diehards dried up.
this is all you get. So, they're like, kill him! And they flip the switch, and lightning strikes the jail or a telephone pole or something. And it really amps it up. And now he's like on fire.
Yeah, his head.
Yeah, because of the metal.
Yeah.
And the crows, and all that shit. They're like, he's dead.
Well, somebody flashes them the scar.
Oh,
the
that's
weird
right.
Scar
Why
he's
did they
been
do that?
describing. They don't even show you which one it is.
No, and it's...
That whole
Is
scar
he
thing
even
doesn't
there?
really make a lot of sense towards the end.
No.
It seemed like it was one of those bad guys in that group.
I don't get why he sees it.
I don't understand a lot of this because eventually they're like, it's all in your head.
Yeah, well...
Which is a trick, but it also kind of seems like maybe it is.
They do a really good job. Because they're like, we photoshopped this. It's like...
Yeah.
But not only that, to jump ahead and bury the lead, but when we see them arguing in the truck, which is presumably the last time he sees her, she runs out and he's just banging on his steering wheel. And all of a sudden he looks to his right and the arm with the scars drops the knife.
And it's that blonde guy who looks like he would be a bad guy, right?
Who drops the knife?
Yeah.
No, we don't see it. We just see the scarred arm.
I think you see
then he goes,
blonde guy cowering behind the car. Like he's clearly...
he's like in front of the car.
I don't understand this.
I'm not sure why he's there. But the guy reaches in with the scarred arm. For some reason, his sleeves rolled all the way up. And he drops the knife.
So you can see the scar?
Yeah. And Aaron?
It's Eric Mabius is the actor.
Alex Corvus, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He goes, huh? And he looks. And then he turns to his left and somebody punches him in the face. He knocks him out. Presumably, this is then when they abduct her. But why is the knife there?
Right, because they needed to stab her 53 times.
Yeah. She left. He sitting there for the whole time? And then they wipe off the blood. And why would there should be blood on the knife?
We got some real problems with this movie.
I'm thinking about this now and it doesn't make sense because later we see when he goes to the club and he touches the chain, he sees her and he goes, you were here? Right? And then he goes up, touches the railing, and he sees that she was walking up this smut club for some reason.
I hate this. I really hate that they use the crow vision like this. They're really like overdoing it, and it's also like weird small baby steps too. It's like, and here's one more scene. Better get a little further up the stairs to touch that railing again.
And it's incredibly infrequent. It just occurs when it needs to. But you mean to tell me she didn't touch the doorknob to enter the club? Pay at the parking meter? Who knows? But she witnesses all the cop guys, the second tier cop guys, shooting another guy.
Walton Goggins is among them.
And they go, it's William Atherton's daughter. Get her. And she goes, and she turns to run away. And I think Scar Arm is there at the bottom of the stairs.
Who is Scar Arm, though?
Fred Ward, the chief.
Okay.
Who's got the weird blonde secretary.
But he's... Who's above Fred Ward?
Nobody.
Well, then that arm, somebody's arm was blown off with the scar. But that was, Fred Ward was still alive at that point.
That wasn't his arm. He planted that arm.
But we see it like fall into the rubble.
No, we just see it in the rubble.
Is that why we see that scene of the metal things going up into the arm?
No, that scene occurs in the beginning of the movie. And that's just Fred Ward adding another rod up his arm. I don't know if it's like maybe they cut something, but that's every time he kills somebody. Or apparently he's a taxidermist as well.
You would get a horrible infection from sliding those behind your skin.
You would. So here's the problem. Now that I think about it, she witnesses them killing a cop.
Is that a cop they killed?
Some guy.
Yeah.
Right. Which is the impetus for them to kill her. But they say that the impetus to kill her is that she found out that they were involved in crime with her dad, William Atherton. So it would seem as if when she's in the club and witnesses the murder, that's when they nab her. But we see her in the truck with Alex Corvus.
Yeah, as just a regular person, she was able to outrun 5 police officers.
So she runs out of his truck. Maybe she runs out of his truck and goes to the club immediately.
No.
Witnesses it. They kill her, wipe off the blood, drop the knife in the truck because he's just been sitting there for roughly 90 minutes crying.
Because they bring her back to that area to kill her, right?
His junkyard.
Yeah, his junkyard.
Which also, he erected a large crucifix for her there. Did you notice that? There's a large crucifix there?
No, when would he have done that?
It's metal.
Oh, I guess after he's been the crow?
No, well, maybe. No, because Kirsten Dunst, he finds her there. She's touching the...
That's at the junkyard?
Uh-huh.
I thought that was at the graveyard.
No, it's not a graveyard. It's a junkyard.
Oh, God.
There is a grave. No, there isn't a grave. There is a grave, but this isn't that. The cross is where she was murdered.
We got a timeline.
All right, so he's dead, but he's burned to shit. And they put him in the morgue, but the crow's like, "You're not dead anymore." And he goes, "You're right." Gets up.
Is it tap on the freezer door?
A rapping, more or less.
Yeah.
So he gets up and he peels off his really bad fake burnt skin makeup.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, is he going to look like this for the whole movie? No, I don't think he did from the shots I've seen. And then he peels it off and the slug skin splats on the ground.
It's like chicken breast.
It's so gross.
Painted, yeah. And he reveals that he's the crow, but it's burned into his skin. And it's also like his eyes are really dark.
It still just looks like makeup.
And still just looks like Alex Corvus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Boy, that's... All right, we'll get to that when the first person...
Does he apply... I don't think he applies any makeup. He just looks pasty. So he punches the mirror, though, because that's what you got to do when you're the crow.
Yeah.
You look at yourself in the mirror and you punch it.
I'm so mad. What am I now?
And he breaks out of prison, effectively. And they're like, oh, it's a prison break. And everybody's chasing after him. And he jumps off of the roof like the crow in the first movie.
Yep, does the crow fall.
And turns into the crow and flies away.
All prisoners present and accounted for, sir.
Then who did he?
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, and it's, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He can't shapeshift.
He doesn't shapeshift. He just basically transmutes his corporeal form into dust and just is the crow. It happens several times throughout the movie.
Are you serious?
I am very serious. Do you remember when he does a T-pose and he floats to jump on the cop car towards the end?
Yeah.
Isn't that dumb?
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, you should just jump off and land on it. Hardcore.
Yeah, but he flies to it.
And he just perches on it.
Oh, boy.
He doesn't even fly. He just sort of like glides to the ground.
Right. like Batman
like
with
a
his
T-pose.
cape.
Yeah, but he's got no fucking cape. He breaks out of jail and he breaks into the police station. The crow
led him to the files. The crow goes over and starts, pecking at the fucking paperwork?
And he's like, what? And he opens up the drawer and he goes, no crows, because it's like CA through CR or whatever. And, roundabout way, he finds the picture.
And a list of names.
Witnesses.
Yeah.
The main witness, who's the one that fingered him, and the other ones who tongued him. And so, I mean, again, much like the second movie, it's probably only been 30 or 40 minutes that he's been dead. And although he is burned quite severely and doesn't initially resemble himself from a few feet away, when you're actually looking at him, it's clear that it's Alex Corvus.
100% looks like him. He's still wearing a mechanic suit, right?
No, he's still wearing his prison jumpsuit.
That's what
that he was killed in. And for some reason, a crucifix is on his lapel, dangling. I don't know what that's all about.
Who does he go to first?
He goes to the rapist cop, I believe.
Oh, is it that guy that looks way too old but still dresses like he's young?
He looks like that one guy who was naked in Go.
His name's like Bill.
You remember? You know who I'm talking about?
Well, that's William Fichtner.
Fichtner. That's what he looks like. But he's like an off-brand
with
Aldi
the dark
version.
hair? His name's like Bill Mondi. It looks like it's Monday. Mondi? Bill Mondi.
Mondi, yeah. He plays Philip Dutton.
He looks wildly old. He looks like he's 50 and dyes his hair and tries to fit in with the young guys.
He is driving in the warehouse district, and he pulls over a young lady driving a car with her friend passed out in the passenger seat. And he's in basically an unmarked squad with the light on. And he is in no way wearing anything that identifies him as a cop other than he has a badge. So he's like, hey, what are y'all doing out here? And she goes, oh, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, it looks like you've been drinking. She goes, my friend, she's been drinking. And he goes, well, let me see your license. And she doesn't have one because she doesn't have one. She isn't supposed to be driving. Her friend is, but she's blotto. So he's like, all right, well, let me go molest your friend real quick. Goes over and he molests her friend real quick.
Doesn't he say, get out of here, to leave your friend behind?
No, basically he puts his hand on her friend's inner thigh, runs it up the seam, as it were, and then he looks at her and he goes, get out. And so she gets out of the car and he walks back around and she goes, oh man, I don't know anything. And, and he goes, bend over. So she assumes the position. He takes out his stick, starts poking her legs so they spread wider, and he lifts up her skirt, looks at her pristine white panties like a pervert.
Yep.
And basically, he's about to do the duty. And she goes, come on, man. He goes, well, maybe I'll just do your friend then. How about that? And he walks back around, and now Alex Corvus is in the seat.
I want you to bend over, Officer Dutton.
What the fuck did you... Get out of the car. Now.
This might be my favorite moment of the movie because I didn't expect it.
Hey, punk.
I did, but
This is the first person he goes to go see?
I believe so.
In my head, for some reason, I thought the first person he went to see, he lets go.
Maybe that's the witness. Maybe he does go to see him. He probably does go to see him first.
And I was mad. He just let him go. I was like, what?
Well, because
this crow just lets guys go?
He didn't. He was the witness that ultimately led to his conviction, but he wasn't actually in on it. Kind of was.
He got him killed, though.
I think the cops jammed him up and were like, finger this guy and, we'll call it a day.
Every time Jules says finger, we give each other a look. Yeah.
And I say it because I want that look.
Yeah.
But he has a baby too. That's why I think he doesn't, because there's a crib up in there. So he goes, all right, who are the guys? He goes, you already got them, man. They're on your list. He goes, okay. Arrivederci, baby. And he goes to kill asshole Mondi. And what does he do? He shoots at him.
Oh my God!
He's hit. He turns around, he slams against the window, and it wakes up the girl in the car. And he goes,
You're up.
which I really liked.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh man, what the hell? And he touches him, and I think that's when he sees that they killed his girlfriend.
Did they gang rape her too?
It's implied, I think, that they were trying to.
But then, things happen.
But then she gets the gun and shoots their main guy in the leg. The second main guy. They're all white guys. Walton Goggins and the guy from White Collar are really the only two that I can identify. So, they scuffle a little bit. He shoots on him some more, and he's like, Jack. And he then grabs the cop's gun and basically puts it to his head in his own hand and blows his brains out and leaves a bloody crow on top of his car. And Kirsten Dunst had run into him at the grave, maybe perhaps right after this or right before this.
It's like he had a weird friend that knows things about the murder.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody recognizes him.
No.
Nobody.
No.
He looks exactly the same with some stupid makeup on, and nobody can put together it's him until finally, towards the end, one of them figures it out.
Much later.
But
and even then,
Kirsten Dunst watched him die.
Mm-hmm. She hated him virulently.
This other guy set him up. And watched him die also.
Yeah, they've all spent a decent amount of time being intimately acquainted with the way this man's face looks and voice sounds. Plus, he's saying, I'm Alex Corvus. Corvus. He says it. What are you doing? What is your connection to this? You killed her and you framed me. What has this got to do with you? Like, okay, whatever.
Your identity's not obscured.
No.
It's like Ernie Hudson didn't even know Eric Draven.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he saw his body, knew of the thing.
In passing.
Yeah.
Right. He was like, already dead and on the ground when he got there.
Let me just draw some lines on this picture. This is the guy.
Yeah.
These people, they're completely befuddled.
Yeah, and he's the guy. And Kirsten Dunst even later goes, is that why you wear makeup to hide? Yeah, I'm not, what? first off, this is my face.
Yeah.
And so what happens then? Kirsten Dunst sees on TV that the cop is dead, and we're seeing it from like a fuzzy 90s TV perspective of the news reporter broadcasting to us. And they go, the cop that for some reason we all know is dead. And they pull up the yellow tape and rush over to his body being carted away. And she pulls the sheet off of his corpse. The reporter does. And they're like, get her out of here, right? And then it cuts back to her and she goes, as you can see, and they cut to a still image of his face because it's daisies carved in his forehead. And he's very bloody and it's kind of hard to read. And it's very impossible that both her and the cameraman would have been able to have seen that in that split second, identified the fact that it said Daisy, then through the video camera that he's recording on, isolate the image of his face to then show in the broadcast, unless, of course, this has all happened and it's not breaking news and live, which that may very well be the case. But
No.
Kirsten Dunst goes, my sister called me Daisy. And then William Atherton has the craziest line ever. He goes, oh, honey, it doesn't mean anything. It's not a message.
Oh, wow.
I mean, yeah, it is, but also why would you assume it's... You would just be like, oh, I'm sure that's not related to this, whatever.
God, you could have just put a little more money into care into this movie and it would have worked.
Again, I think you're right. If they would have had... I mean, he gets all of the coverage. There's very few continuity issues. There's one major one at the club, but effectively, it's like a workhorse film. You just needed somebody with a better eye and probably a better editor.
You couldn't fix City of Angels. This is a very serviceable story. If you just made it look professional with good people,
yeah,
and 90% cooler, which would be fine if you had a budget.
Yeah,
boy.
Because here's the thing: Kirsten Dunst is very much Sarah in this movie, but in her role in the first movie, not the second one.
Is she the best in this movie?
Kirsten Dunst?
Yeah, I think she might be the best actress.
Actress? Yes.
Sorry, best actor.
Actor?
Who's rivaling her? Fred Ward?
I mean, he's doing some pretty good shit. Pretty villainous stuff at the end.
Yeah.
But quite possibly. It's just unfortunate that there isn't much for her to do.
No, she's just like upset and they keep cutting back to her.
I think she's supposed to be a teenage girl, like younger than 18.
Yeah.
So she's Sarah, and the lawyer is Detective Albrecht, which I think is what you need. You need characters, if he's going to be tied to something, it needs to be people who are in service of the plot and can perhaps do things or find things or make revelations that he is unable to. You don't need a Sarah that's grown up who does the crow ritual and then teases him and tries to get him to abandon his purpose and run off with her. Like, And so we don't see the crow in the second movie interacting with enough people like we did with Eric and now this guy to create a character. He's just going from scene to scene doing the crow thing. So anyways, we're already cued into the fact that William Atherton is probably somehow involved.
Yeah.
Right. And so he then goes to kill the second cop, who I can't remember now what happens there. Because...
Not at the strip club?
No, that's later. He kills Walton Goggins and the guy from White Collar at the strip club. He kills that guy. He kills the other guy in his car. That must be what happens. Is that what happens? He then goes to kill that guy in his car? The Corvette?
Dale Midkiff from Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
Is that the next person to die? What about the blonde guy? That looks like a long-haired rickety cricket, but shittier.
He gets killed by Walton Goggins and White Collar guy.
Okay, it's later.
Yeah, there's some scenes where they're like trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Oh, the cop, the second in charge cop, goes to the strip club and he clearly looks like he's there to stop crime and not take part in crime.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He's clicking on all the cameras that we just saw the women. Now he's looking at him on the camera and he goes upstairs, he pulls out his gun, he goes, hey, freeze, fuckos. And they're like, oh, shit. Ark, 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 ark. He's a bad guy, too. Whoa, they tricked me.
It's just the bad guy.
I thought he was a good cop going to bust.
Yeah.
I thought the movie was over.
Please, God, yes.
And so then he's like, yo, shit for brains. One of our guys is dead. Something. Then he goes to talk to Burt Ward, I think.
Burt Ward?
Fred
Robin?
Ward.
Holy reincarnation!
Fuck, man, I just watched this no more than 24 hours ago.
I watched it 5 days ago.
Eventually, God, I'm going to be beeping this probably left and right because we're getting this super out of whack. But to sum it up, he shows Kirsten Dunst what happens because she starts to believe him, and he tortures her, basically, showing her her sister being murdered.
Here's where it happened. She turned and faced them and went down, kicking and punching and tearing at them as they stabbed her 53 times.
She goes, I wish I was the one who told the cops that you were here because I thought she was with you that night. And I'm the reason why you got framed, I guess. I wish I was dead. And he goes, no, you don't. Here, I'll show you this crazy, brutal stuff of your sister being stabbed 56 times.
She fought for her life because life is worth living.
But then he holds her. You got to hold on to life.
Think about that. And you tell me how much you wish you were dead.
She goes, oh, I got this pendant. I'm going to throw it away. And he goes, no, it's your connection to your sister and also to me. You'll need that later.
If you need me, you know where to find me.
The bad guys are starting to piece together that he's somehow involved with Eric Corvus. They go to visit the witness who keeps saying it is Alex Corvus, and he had a crow with him, and Walton Goggins is just bashing his head around.
You said the whole trial was a setup. You said I caused an innocent kid to die. Is that true?
Is that true?
And he just throws him out the window. He falls about 3 stories and lands on the hood of a car. Now, he could very well have survived that, and probably would have, but he's dead. And we see the other cop walking by, and then they're upstairs pointing their gun at the guy's wife, and there's also an infant. And from downstairs, we hear a gunshot.
Oh, yeah, it killed him.
The wife, at least.
Yeah.
I was expecting 2. They didn't do 2. Maybe there was, and they're like, I don't know.
There's no reason to kill an infant.
Well, might come back and haunt you.
You killed my father.
Your father killed himself with the life he lived.
No.
You know?
Okay.
God, there must have been another cop that was killed, because I feel like there would be 2 by now.
Don't they also, at some point, somebody's like, it's not one of those crows, we've run into them before. Isn't there
Fred
referencing?
Ward says that.
Oh, man, I've heard about this happening before.
Yeah, he says that later. He studies it,
God damn!
which is said in an ADR off camera line that they probably slid in there.
I've read about this, but I never thought I'd see it.
Somebody's killed. Eventually, it must be the guy in the car. He's in a Corvette. The crow's in the car. He stops at a train track, and he looks, and all of a sudden, Alex Corvus is in the car, and he pulls out his big-ass gun. And Alex, he grabs it, and he shoots himself through the mouth.
Jeez!
And then we see it. And the guy goes, oh my God. And he pulls out that big ass knife.
But they cut like all the action from the gunshot.
Oh, we didn't see him actually do it.
No.
It's just we hear it and we're outside the car and then we're seeing a weird Matrix effect and then we're back in the car.
We don't have the money for that.
So he starts driving around and the cops are chasing him and they're playing Static X, let's say. And that's when we see the helicopter and the guy's like, man, you're fucking crazy. And he goes, you were there, you stabbed her. And he stabs him with the knife. And eventually he just, boom, crashes right into a wall or something. And they both fly out. And he gets out, Walton Goggins, and White Collar shows up. And they're just like, what the hell? And this whole time he had the cigarette lighter in, and it's popped.
Uh-huh.
So he pulls that out and pulls out the cop's like Russian long trench coat, like a furry collar. Looks really stupid. Puts it on. Walton Goggins is, reprimanding him with his finger. Hey, you. And a squad car pulls up. He drops the thing. And even though we see him clearly walking away, as it explodes, separate from where they are, they're looking around like, where'd he go? And not only that, but the explosion also blows up and kills the helicopter.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the moment where I start to think, boy, kind of hard to justify that one.
I'm pretty sure that when that happened, I was like, what the fuck?
That's the danger of using police, because there are other probably fine cops. What police helicopter pilot's going to be on the take? and be a racist and a rapist. I mean, maybe a racist.
What?
Maybe a rapist, but
Yeah.
not like a corrupt. I mean, he's flying a fucking helicopter, right?
He's living his dreams, flying one of those unsafe helicopters.
He's probably more of a pilot than he is a cop. But he's dead now. And we see the helicopter blade. You know, they do that thing in the 2000s whenever something explodes, like a tire flies at the camera or a helicopter blade, and it like cuts, quote unquote, cuts the scene.
Yeah.
They did that. And so, boy, Kirsten Dunst is like doing sleuthing now. She confronts her dad because she knows he was in on it. And he goes, "You don't understand." She goes, "I'm out of here. I'm out of here." And goes somewhere, I think, to see the lawyer. He's sort of been communicating with Alex surreptitiously. He leaves a note for him to play chess. He comes to see him, and he goes, "Yeah, there's some bad stuff going on." And he goes, yeah. And she then goes there, and Fred Ward shows up talking about how, she sees her dad dead in the bathtub. She shows up at home, and she's splashing water on her face, and we hear the drip, 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 drip. And she turns off the faucet, but it's still going. Drip, drip, drip. And it sounds like finger snapping. Not only finger snapping, but the finger snapping from West Side Story that leads into the song Cool.
Pow!
And she opens up the thing, and her dad's been brain blasted in the bathtub.
He did it himself.
She grabs the gun
Yeah.
and runs away.
Not good.
Not good. And so Fred Ward's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry. You know, your papa, he killed himself. And here's the evidence.
He got
I'm not
involved.
guilty.
Got involved with some bad police officers.
On my unit. I'm responsible." And the lawyer goes, "Yeah, actually, that looks about right."
Checks out.
But she's holding the gun on him this whole time. And he goes, "He even left you a note." And she goes, "Show it to me." And he goes to gesture for it. And she goes to Fred Ward, "Not you." She goes to the lawyer, "You." And he's like, "Oh, And Fred's like, no, the note's right here." And he ends up grabbing it and giving it to her exactly in the fashion that she just said not to do. And she allows it. He grabs the gun. He gets her in a headlock. He shoots the lawyer, right? The lawyer falls, messes up his chessboard, falls to the ground. The cop comes in, the second in charge, and he goes, "Oh, you need some help?" And we see the lawyer has set the chess piece on a picture of all of the cops in the newspaper. Now, does he circle them? Because he's circled later in red.
I give the bottom of the chess piece.
Maybe
got
it's his
blood
blood?
on it. Yeah. Like
But
a circle stamp.
I guess. And then he turns around and the cop shoots him and he dies. And they abscond with Kirsten Dunst. So, Eric, oh no, right before that, the lawyer tells him where to go to the club. And that's when we see the scene from the original Crow movie. He gets to the club, there's titties, he's fighting. He eventually makes his way up to the top where Walton Goggins and White Collar and a bunch of other cops are waiting for him. And they go, "Do it." And they start blasting. Pow, 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 pow. But he front flips up to the rafters and they turn on the lights because apparently they can't see anything. They can clearly see him enter the room, but not do a front flip from the same spot where he should have been lit enough for them. Whatever. He's not there. And they look up and he's in the rafters. And he just pulls a pipe from something and throws it as Walton Goggins turns around to run away, and it impales him.
Which is great. He also says something really stupid to draw their attention to him.
He goes, "Cheers," and starts to run away. I think he should have said, "A bar walked into a man."
Yeah. Can you put me up for the
It
night?
would have been a callback to Jesus walks into a manger or whatever.
To a bar and hands them
But it's
3
also
nails.
a play on the joke.
Yeah.
Or maybe you guys should also stick around. Something.
Yep,
And they
yep.
start shooting, blah, blah, blah. He comes down. Now they're on the other side of the room where he had entered in.
Do you want to drink some of this apple pie shot?
Yeah, let's get
I'm not as interested in hearing about this as I thought I would.
Line them up.
Movie,
I'm
this
going to keep
movie
going.
sucks.
I'm going to keep going. So now he's got 2 pistols for some reason, and he's standing in the position that they were in, and they're in the position that he was in. And he's pointing the guns, but what does he do? He lets them dangle over his fingers, and he holds his hands to the side. "Your move." And they just start boom, 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 boom. And he's just doing the shoulder thrusting, bullet absorbing thing. And they stop because they're out of bullets. And then he says, okay, I gave you the chance. You proved that you were bad and you tried to kill me, even though I am a cop-killing maniac that you don't know. But I'm going to get you now. And so he literally puts his arms to like a V shape. Boom. Closer in. Boom. Closer in. Boom. Closer in. Boom. Just picking them off one by one because they're all lined up.
Yeah.
And then he crosses. The last guy tries to load his gun, and he just runs up and he punches him in the face, and he falls down.
Is that the white collar that he punches?
No, he had ran away at this point. Where does he run? He has free reign to leave the building. Instead, he runs into a clawfoot bathtub and closes the curtain around him.
Yeah. Good.
It's lit on the side that would project his shadow onto the curtain. And what does he do while he's in there? He reaches down the side of the tub
to get
and
a pull.
Pulls up a pipe. It's like everybody's pulling pipe. You should be laying pipe. For God's sakes. Alex Corvus opens up the thing. He bonks him. And he bonks him again, but he hits apparently a gas main, even though it just looks like a sprinkler pipe. You want to do this?
Yeah.
All right. Salute.
Is it too much?
I don't know.
Mine was too much. I threw it back up into my mouth and swallowed it again.
I had to drink it in 2 gulps.
Ha 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 ha. Fuck.
So he goes.
Alex Corvus.
He goes. The guy then, white collar, pulls out his pistol and he goes, hey man, there's gas leaking. A 1 spark. Not a good move. But he goes, that's not the leak you need to worry about. And he starts punching on him. At this point, he pulls down his shirt to reveal his arm because he keeps checking everybody's arm.
Yep.
Where's the man with the scar? Corvus made that up, man. He doesn't exist. At that point, number 2 comes up. He's got a shotgun. He isn't aware of the gas.
Yeah.
Boom. And we see the pellets flying towards the screen. Like, oh man, if this would have been in 3D, that would have blew my mind. And so, explosion. Everybody gets blown up and thrown out of stuff. And Alex Corvus is outside. The whole building just explodes. He starts walking away and he looks. And the perfectly severed left arm with the whatever things he was shoving in there, the scar. They keep calling it a scar, but it's more like, it's not branding. What would you call that? Some sort of a transmorphification?
Yeah. Body modification?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
But there's the arm. It looks like it's made of wax. It's kind of melting a little bit. And he goes, I did it. It's over. And he starts walking away, except he's weak now.
Are you going to throw up in that cup?
I am.
Yeah.
He's weak now.
Yep.
Because his mission is accomplished. But, I mean, Eric had to return to his grave. But this guy doesn't have a grave.
No, he never got one.
He doesn't have anything. So it's unclear what to do now. Is he just destined to just die eventually? And then they bury him? I don't know, man. So he's walking around thinking he's king shit of fuck mountain. And he runs up on a lady while her boyfriend is spending a ridiculous amount of time trying to unlock the door to maybe their apartment. And she's concerned because he's just all fucked up and, losing his mind. And she goes, are you okay? And the boyfriend pushes her aside and just punches him in the schnoz. And he falls back and she goes, he's bleeding. And he grabs the girlfriend and he goes, come on.
Well, I think he was being weird about it. And she said a couple of things. And he was like, leave that guy alone. And then he punched her.
No,
No?
his first interaction is pushing her aside and punching him.
Lauren?
What'd you do that for? He's bleeding.
I don't bleed.
So he's busted up now, and she goes, oh my God, he's bleeding. And he goes, no, I don't bleed. But he does. He just heals.
Yeah.
So he's just stumbling around. He punches the door of the lawyer's office, the window, and his hand, he's just got huge shards of glass jammed into his flesh. He's pulling them out, and he's like, what the fuck, man? You're wasting it.
What is that?
That's Fun Boy from the original Crow.
Okay.
And he
Well, it
raps.
sounded like Polito.
Same thing. We're closed. And so he's wrapping up, you think you're a fucking hotshot? What do you do about my place? He wraps up his hand, and he's just dripping blood everywhere. And he's like, lawyer, and he's not there. But he sees the king of whatever on the newspaper. And he goes, he's the mastermind. It's Fred Ward. He has no idea that Fred Ward has kidnapped Kirsten Dunst at this point. But it seems like he kind of does when he finally goes over there. So he goes over there, and he goes to Fred Ward's office in police precinct, I would assume. Nobody's there. He's just dripping blood everywhere. And he throws down the newspaper clipping, and Fred Ward looks at it and he goes, I always hated that picture.
Yeah.
Right? And he goes, you're the dude, man. I'm, here for you or whatever. And he goes, what are you going to do? Bleed to death all over my floor? Which I thought was pretty good. And so he pulls out his big knife, and Fred Ward just fucking takes him over, and he goes, you idiot. You dumb fuck. She was going to leave your dumb ass anyways. You were the one who killed her, you idiot. Don't you remember? And he shows him a picture of that we've seen throughout the movie of them together, but now it's been doctored so that he's holding the knife. She looks all fucked up and she's bleeding.
And he looks a little evil in it too.
Very evil.
Yeah.
They furrowed the fuck out of his brow.
You know what? I don't think you can do that in Photoshop.
Not in 2000, and not in a photo.
I don't think you could take a picture now and make it look like that.
So Fred Ward's basically stabbing him with the knife in his hand. Like, why are you stabbing yourself? Why are you stabbing yourself?
Over and over and
he dies.
over. Yeah.
And he drops him on the floor. Second in charge comes in like, oh man, I can't believe he fell for that fake arm. He rips down his American flag on the wall and kicks open his hidden door. Help me with this. And throughout the movie, we see a blonde lady who looks like the blonde lady from
I forgot
Terminator 3.
Yeah, I forgot about this lady.
Doesn't she?
I don't know. Is that Christina Loken?
Uh-huh.
Loken.
This character is attributed as being secretary. Now, she walks into the room earlier in the movie, and Fred Ward's like, get it done. And the cop looks at her in a way that suggests she's in charge.
Yeah, she seems real boss bitch.
But she's apparently not.
Maybe I should say just boss.
So they got Kirsten Dunst tied up. They've stitched her mouth closed.
Oh,
apparently,
God. Like the fucking Ouija.
Apparently, she's been Ouija'ing. And the lady's doing her toenails. It's unclear what he's going to do with Kirsten Dunst, but Alex Corvus is very much dead. So he puts him on his table because apparently, unbeknownst to us this entire time, he's a taxidermist who does freaky deaky stuff. I think I'm going to stuff him with his head up his ass, he says. Now, the crow is very much alive and cocking around. So you'd assume Alex Corvus would still be alive because clearly, it was a ruse. They even say to his corpse, it was a ruse. But it takes Kirsten Dunst with her necklace, which triggers a flashback that she gives to the crow, that the crow drops on the table, that doesn't touch Alex Corvus, but is within range of him. And apparently that's enough to kickstart his heart, and he's back.
When this podcast started, I was like, this movie is stupid. And then your enthusiasm for it made me go, yeah, but he's right. It is better. Mm-hmm. But then we have been talking about it for a while, and I'm like, I fucking hate this movie. Mm-hmm. Just hearing about it makes me hate it so much more.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, okay. So he comes back to life.
Yeah.
He stops Fred Ward from stabbing him. The crow's flying around. She's trying to whack it. He kills guard number 2 by throwing him into a trophy case. We don't see him get stabbed or his neck break or anything, but apparently he is dead. Fred Ward absconds with Kirsten Dunst part 2, except now she has a scalpel, which was laying on the ground for some reason. And the crow is play dead, but alive after the cop shoots at it. Now, she, the lady, secretary,
boss bitch,
we find her doing her toenails with the black nail polish. And Alex Corvus picks her up by the throat, and he twirls her around and gives her the old Kiefer Sutherland from Lost Boys. Throws her against the wall and impales her on a antler set, and is just kind of hanging around because we see Fred Ward and Kirsten Dunst in the elevator going down. He grabs her, she stabs him with the
scalpel,
exactly, and runs away. Oh, he says,
"Was that a test?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she undoes her binderies so her hands are free.
Pop those things loose.
She's cutting them stitches so she can and shoot Mama whatever against the wall. And we don't see Alex Corvus this whole time. She's outside running around, hiding behind cop cars, and he's trying to find her, and they're really just circling a very small area, even though they make it appear as if it's larger than it is, because she spends time looking left and right at one point, unsure of where he's coming from, but clearly he's coming from the same direction that he went down, and he should be right there within eye shot, and in fact he is, but he sneaks up on her, puts a gun on her. She cuts him in the hand. He drops the gun. She picks up the gun. Oh, I know you ain't got the stones. Serrano! She shoots maybe his ear or something, and he goes, fuck! But he only has one bullet in the chamber.
Why?
Because he says, one in the chamber. That's all he's got. I don't know.
Two in the bush?
So he grabs her, throws her in the car. Now, at this point is when we see Alex Corvus, because cops barge in, find the blonde, impaled on the antlers, look up. He's again in the rafters. They look at him. They go, it's the devil himself. They start shooting. He jumps through the clock because apparently there's a clock tower on this precinct, at which point he starts running incredibly slow on the roof. We see his feet in close-up, and they are moving incredibly slow. And Fred Ward is driving away with Kirsten Dunst in the back. At this point, Alex Corvus jumps off, goes full fucking T-pose, and just very rapidly, yet also slowly, hovers down, lands gingerly on top of the roof, punches through the sunroof because Fred Ward's cop car has a sunroof, grabs his arm, rips it off, the shirt, and reveals...
He got them scars?
He got them scars.
Oh, man, we finally figured it out.
It's you! He's like, no shit.
But he doesn't have weird shit behind him. This is just like he doesn't have metal rods behind his scar. He's just got regular scar tissue. Them rods were just to give somebody scar tissue?
No, I'm sorry. Earlier, before he impales Blondie, she looks up and he looks up, and the lawyer is hung from the ceiling with his left arm missing.
Oh.
And a hacksaw.
Oh,
in addition to metal rods.
Okay, and he looks so proud. And you're saying Fred Ward's just doing notches on his arms for his kills?
It's unclear. If he is, he's only killed a handful of people.
This movie's a stinker.
Because they insinuate weird things about him, but he himself doesn't seem like a sexual deviant or a mystic or anything. He knows about crows, apparently. And he even comments on how, it's the crow. So they take him back to the prison and they put him in the fucking electric chair.
Oh,
because apparently the crow, Fred Ward, and Kirsten Dunst can just walk into a prison.
I mean, the
free
prison
reign.
And the fucking police precinct, like, it's all nonsense, vacant bullshit.
So they got him chained up. Now, there's a scene where they establish that Alex Corvus is at least 4 or 5 feet away from Fred Ward. But then it cuts to a shot of somebody's hands opening up the mask so he can say his last words. And he's all, bad-mouthing them and whatever. We see the hands. We see Alex Corvus, again, in the same position, 4 feet away. Cut back. Now we see another set of hands, which kind of seem like a woman's hands, now that I think about it. But he closes the mask. Now, what I think is originally they had him speaking through the mask, but they were like, we got to see that Ward. So they did the insert of some random hands. And then Kirsten Dunst, she goes, it's time to die or something. And she flips the switch. And they electrocute the shit out of him. His head starts on fire. No lightning. I'm beginning to wonder, is the fire a part of this?
And then crows start flying out of his body until there's nothing left.
I will say this. There's 2 scenes in here that are really dumb.
Okay.
When they realize that the bad guys have established some sort of a dummy corporation to hide their nefarious dealings. It is called, the acronym for this business is DERT. They call their dummy corporation for doing bad stuff Dirt. And when they kill Fred Ward, and I think his head, lights up or whatever, we see a shot of the crow watching it. And there's fire in the crow's eye.
They do lots of crow eye shots.
Except from the crow's eye comes a crow. I'm like, what?
Oh.
But it is cool when the building blows up and the crow flies out. I very much like that. And so then we see Kirsten Dunst at the gravesite. She now is in full-on Sarah mode because she's got punk clothes and hair braids and shit. And that's the end of the movie.
What the fuck happened to Eric Mabius? We just don't see him again. We assume he's dead. He's gone back to the land of the crows.
I think so. I think he says something to her, and she goes, "What?" And she looks, and he's gone. I don't know. Good question.
This movie's stupid. I don't really know what to say. It was a fine watch. It was terrible, but it at least moved along.
I'd have to hold out judgment because it's been a while since I've seen it and we haven't watched it again. But I feel like this is the best Crow sequel.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I am pretty sure that the Edward Furlong one is even lower down the rung on the budget side of things.
I'm really begging Jenny to watch it with me.
Yeah.
I told her about the IMDb rating of it having a 3, the lowest of all of them. I was like, babe, you saw how dumb that Salvation was?
Yep.
Like, because she caught glimpses of it.
Mm-hmm.
This one's worse.
Edward Furlong. Eric Boreanaz?
David Boreanaz. Tara
fucking Reid. Whew.
Ernest Borgnine.
It might as well be.
So, what else did you say about this here movie?
Not much, man. I mean, towards the end, I knew I was going to be in trouble. I was like, I am not remembering anything that just happened.
I remember very little of this movie, it turns out, once you start telling me about it.
Mm-hmm. Did we rate the other Crow movie as a movie?
Possibly.
What would you rate this as a movie?
I mean, at the beginning, I was thinking a 5.5, but the more we talked about it, it's a 5.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to go with a 3.
No, I mean, I still think... it is the better of the sequels so far. It is terrible, but it is better. Like, the spirit is there. It's just like some dude, him and his friends painted their faces for the weekend and made this movie, but it just happens to have Atherton and Fred Ward and Dunst.
If you would have gotten somebody just a little bit more appropriate for the Crow role, I could kind of see that they were maybe trying to go for something a little bit more sensitive, a little bit stronger of a presence or performance.
Could you imagine if they didn't have like a douchey looking Crow? Because this guy seems like kind of a Dash Mihawk douche, you know? He's not like somebody you're like, I hope he does good. You're like, this guy kind of sucks. He looks like he listens to new metal.
And again, it's also a case of the person that they're avenging got it far worse than the person doing the avenging.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
His murder is capital corporate punishment? Corporal?
I mean, I guess capital punishment. Corporal's punishment's maybe where they hit you with sticks.
True that.
Yeah.
The way he's executed is rough.
I mean, and he knows it's coming. That's really miserable.
Yeah, but
hers was quick, you know?
She was scared.
Yeah.
Quick. They stabbed her 56 times.
I know, but it's at least in the span of like a 3-minute period. Like she's over and dead. This guy's like been framed. Everybody hates him. People are taunting him. And then eventually he dies horribly in an electric chair.
That's true.
It's bad.
It's bad.
You know what? How about it's both bad?
Yeah.
Let's maybe stop comparing them.
Yeah.
All right.
I'd give it a 5.5.
Okay.
I'm more tolerable. And
sorry.
No.
Eric Mabius does a lot of Lifetime movies now.
I would assume. I looked at his credits and I said to myself, yeah, I ain't seen none of this shit.
No.
None of this garbage.
I feel better about it now. Like, what I'm doing might actually have some value.
Pricing groceries?
I got nothing to say about this.
Yeah. I mean, we've gone probably much longer than we need to.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you next week. Or whenever it comes out. I have no idea what the schedule for this is going to be like.
I just work here.
Yeah. We'll be back next with The Crow Wicked Prayer, brah. Is it called Wicked Prayer, brah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I've been Jason.
I've been Jules.
And we've been filmographies.
Bye.
Bye.